It's oddly satisfying to make something where every tool, every piece has a home. No clutter, no guessing, just a perfect fit. This wouldn't work in anybody else's home because nobody has this exact drawer, these exact utensils, or this exact problem. And that is exactly why I make. And this video is brought to us by Squarespace. Check it. So we have this bamboo drawer organizer, and even though it expands, it never quite fills the space. So it flops around like a fish out of water. It's also insanely noisy and starting to fall apart. This is where my superhero powers come in. I'm gonna make something out of my favorite material, perfectly fitted to wrap around the kitchenware we already have. I want everything to fit so perfectly and look so good that every time I open the drawer, it adds a little bit of joy to my day. So while the glue is drying on the walnut, I'm gonna draw out the shape of our utensils. The easiest way I know how to do this is to take a photo of them on a background where you know the exact size. You bring that into Photoshop, fix the perspective and crop. I can then take that image and bring it into Adobe Illustrator, make my artboard the exact size of the background that I just measured and photographed. Then using the pen tool, I'll trace around all the utensils and add a slight offset. I tile it and print it out on multiple sheets, tape it all together and use some spray adhesive to attach it to my blank. I said this was the easiest way that I know how, but looking back, I probably could have just traced it out with some blank paper and a Sharpie. But I enjoy the process and not everything has to be super streamlined. Plus, doing it this way, I get to look at how it would look as a 3D model. I love overkill, woodworkers love overkill, you love overkill. If you don't have a super fancy cheap scroll saw from Harbor Freight, then just use your laser cutter. So what we've been cutting out is a template where we can use a router to carve out the pockets. This laser wasn't big enough to do it in one piece, so I had to break it out into two. I'll use some double-sided tape to attach it to my blank. There's a bearing on the top of the router bit that will ride against the template. I fucked up big time. This part of the template was supposed to go this way because at the back of the drawer, you can't access it because the drawer doesn't pull out. So there's this negative space here. I taped it on the wrong way. This is fixable because I can almost, these are the same size. I can almost get this to line up. So if I make this one just a little bit smaller, cut a new template out on the laser, I can then glue this on. That one lines up perfect. This cubby's a little bit smaller, should still work with the kitchen tools that we have. We were doing so good, Daniel. We were doing so good. Making something completely custom is one of my favorite things. You don't have to compromise. Every detail, every decision, it's all built around what you actually need. And that's what I love about today's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for building a website that's as unique as what you create. Whether you're showing off your work, selling custom projects, or sharing your process, Squarespace makes it easy. With beautifully designed templates and intuitive drag and drop tools, you don't need to be a designer to make something that looks great. And with Squarespace's design intelligence, you can generate a personalized site with just a few clicks. No coding or design background required. I've used Squarespace for well over 10 years, and it's made running a creative business so much smoother. From setting up an online store to sending out email campaigns, everything is in one place. So when you're ready to build something just for you, head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, visit squarespace.com/makesomething for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. I've got everything routed out and added a round over to smooth out the edges. Now let's take this back inside and finish it up. Those with a keen eye will notice that the organizer I made doesn't take up the full width of the drawer. That's because I'm using the remaining space to make a knife block. And again, this is designed specifically for the knives that we use, another element that makes this project so satisfying. This isn't a one-size-fits-all solution, and because I'm making it as a separate piece, I can modify it in the future when our knife situation changes, and I'm sure it will. This isn't something you can buy, and that's where the joy of being a woodworker truly fulfills me. Customizing the world around you comes with two rewards. There's the reward of the process, the journey of making something, and then there's the reward of using it in your everyday life. And I know this is such a small, simple project, but those are often the most rewarding because the payoff is nearly instant. This only took me 2 days to make. Could have done it in one, but again, I'm enjoying the process. Quick projects with an immediate payoff are some of my favorites. Maybe they don't make for glamorous YouTube videos, but they sure do make for a glamorous lifestyle. Second mistake of the project, but this one's not a big deal. I didn't cut the groove deep enough, and the knife rests on the bottom of the groove instead of resting on the handle. So I want to go back to the table saw, recut these grooves, but the problem is that's not stable. So I'm going to take the offcuts that we just had, hot glue them back on there, so then I can stabilize this guy. To finish this off, I added a couple of coats of shellac and then a final coat of my favorite wax. This is so much nicer than what we used to have, and everything fits like a glove. Of course, I could have done this on the CNC in half the time, but it's about the journey. It's about the joy of woodworking. Typically, I don't use my digital tools to save time, but I use them to do something I couldn't do otherwise. I love CNCs and lasers and 3D printers. It really adds to the arsenal of what I can do. But I also love cutting things out by hand. And I go back and forth. It really depends on the situation and how I'm feeling that day. Sometimes the journey is way more important than efficiency, because the time I spend woodworking is always time well spent. I would like to thank my top Patreon supporters this month: Ron from Gnomeworks, Jim from Wiser Beasts, Jason Ramos, and Jonathan Ransom. Patreon members get all kinds of perks like monthly discounts, behind the scenes videos, access to our Discord, and much more. I've done other customizations. I'll have a playlist to that here. Also, I started a brand new series to help you be more creative in your work, especially if you don't think you're creative. And part 1 of that is up here right now. That is gonna wrap it up. I love you all. Thank you for watching. As always, be safe, have fun, stay passionate, and make something. I even love you, Gary, who always leaves negative comments. I read every single comment. I have feelings, people. I have feelings.